fuel 100% stronger hair.
Because strong is beautiful.
Breaking news, officials in Texas warning about bacteria in the toxic floodwater that is right now drowning the city. We had the water tested, and the results came in just a few minutes ago. Elizabeth Cohen is out front live in Houston. And Elizabeth, break the news here. When you were out yesterday, I know you collected samples of the floodwater, so now it's here we are today. You've gotten these results back, and what's in it?
Well, Aaron, unfortunately, the numbers are stunningly high. I'm talking about bacteria, especially fecal bacteria. Let's get right to the numbers. When we looked at E. coli, which is an indication of fecal contamination, the numbers in our first sample, we took 3 in a small area. 8,600 CFUs, or colony-forming units, 3,700 in the second sample, 6,300 in the third. The EPA standard for recreational waters, for water that people swim in, is 0. You're not supposed to have any. Now let's look at total coliform. That's another indication of bacteria. The first sample was 57,000 CFUs. The second sample, 43,000. The third sample, 45,000. The EPA standard for recreational water, according to the A&B labs in Houston that did the testing for us, they tell us that standard is less than 100. So as you can see, these numbers are much, much higher than that. Now, the lab manager at the lab said these numbers are huge. He said, we do water testing every day. That's what we do. He's never seen numbers like this in water that is publicly accessible. And it's not just fecal bacteria that he's worried about. He said these numbers are a concern, are an indication that there could be something called Vibrio vulnificus. That's the flesh-eating bacteria. And he said he's really worried about the people who would have waded through this water and still are wading through this water. Aaron?
And Elizabeth, that is terrifying, because we know what that can do. So you're saying that they're very worried about the possibility of flesh-eating bacteria, that people could have been exposed to that. I mean, what does this mean for the people who are in those floodwaters? Because that is tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people have been in that water.
Right, exactly. So the concerns are on 2 levels. First of all, people, I've seen it. People are out in the water, they inadvertently sort of splash around, and water can get in your nose, it can get in your mouth, and you can ingest it, you can inhale it. That can be dangerous for people who are fragile or who have immune issues. Now, for most of us who are healthy,
even splashing in the water is dangerous.
But for other folks who are older,
look at them,
weaker,
they're wading in it.
Really a deadly problem.
They're not even aware.
If you have a cut that's large enough in your legs or anywhere in your skin, and it gets in there, and you don't clean it out quickly, that could be a serious infection.
Not even a protective suit,
that is,
which they'll tell you here in a second.
With horrific outcome. I mean, that's the risk too of that. You can get in any kind of a cut, right? And limb loss, other things.
Right, and that would be even, and Aaron, that would be even for a healthy person. Even if a healthy person gets that in a cut in their flesh and they don't clean it out soon enough, and that cut is big enough, that can be deadly.
You hear that? Deadly. Even if you are in good shape and healthy.
He's the former FEMA administrator from 2005 to 2009, and you, sir, replaced Michael Brown after Hurricane Katrina hit, so you oversaw the FEMA recovery efforts there. I appreciate you taking the time. Look, you just heard these results. This stuff is toxic. This stuff is foul. There could be flesh-eating bacteria, which, as we know, for incredibly healthy people, can result in horrific outcome.
Incredibly
healthy people.
How worried
are you when you hear these results?
Oh, very much so. This is really, really nasty water, and it's very difficult for people not to be in it because there's so much flooding. But as much as possible, they need to stay out of the water if they can. You know, don't get it on your hands.
Impossible.
If you do, try to wash off, get clean. There can be some terribly nasty infections that can be very hard to stop, quite frankly. It's got petrochemical stuff in it too. It's not just the E. coli bacteria. There's a lot of other stuff in
and
this.
And they're smoking cigarettes.
They can be very harmful
in the water,
to
you know, and then they got water on their hands as they're hitting that cigarette. And they're not even aware.
And people are in this water. I mean, that's the reality here. Let me just show these screens again, sir.
That's the staff. These are people that are saving people's lives. Those numbers are huge.
The standard is 0. And for coliform, 57,000 on the first test. The others were marginally better, but I mean the standard is less than 100. So on that basis, that they're all the same.
This is bad.
What can people do given this? I mean, this isn't going anywhere for weeks, if not months, for many people.
Yeah, they just need to
You're going to recommend to stay out of the water. We know.
That's hard. It's very hard.
It's impossible.
It's flooding everywhere.
It's nothing but water.
You can get really, really sick or have a terrible infection, like you said, in any type of laceration. It doesn't even have to be a big one. All it has to be is an open wound of any kind. And there's a lot of materials out there. People are getting cut. People are getting hurt. We have more injuries and deaths and the fatalities in the aftermath of a hurricane than we do actually during the storm itself. People get tired. They're not thinking clearly. And they do things they probably shouldn't do, as tired as they are.
So, we also understand that the contamination can be so bad that protective gear wouldn't work, right? I mean, people think,
wow, not even protective gear
if you even have
will
that,
help you in these waters,
just going out in
folks.
regular clothes. But I mean, I'm talking about first responders, people who are risking their lives to go out there. That isn't really even fully protection, right?
If they have a full Tyvek suit, the answer would be yes. When we had the Bayou jet crash in the Everglades, we put the police officers in Tyvek suits and then decontaminated them when we took them out of the water. That's not happening here. There's just too many people, there's too many responders. So the first responders need to know what's in this water so they can take precautions to take care of themselves.
They need to know, now that they've already been in the water and they've saved over 20,000 people.
In their lives, and they do this every single day. I want to ask you, if I can, about the response thus far. And I know, as you point out, from here it can get incredibly dangerous. Floodwater's still going up. You can have more people die after the hurricane where we are now than you did during. So this is a crucial time. The retired General Richard Honoré, I know you know him. He oversaw relief efforts for Katrina. Earlier this week came on the show and said the response to Harvey, in his view, was amateur hour. And last night he said some of the failings include how many military on the ground. Here he is.
I do think we need to scale up. They don't have enough troops here, and they don't have enough on the way.
Well, there you have it, folks. There's flesh-eating bacteria in the water, and it's very high numbers to where even a extraordinarily healthy person can become sick.
For the last 3 days.
You heard him going around 18 hours a day. Could he be right that